November 15, 1966. Point Pleasant, West Virginia. A cold autumn night. 19-year-old Roger Scarberry and his 18-year-old wife Linda were driving home. It was late, around 11 p.m. They were taking a shortcut past an abandoned World War II TNT plant. The area was known locally as the McClintock Wildlife Management Area, but everyone just called it the TNT area. It was dark. It was isolated. It was the last place you'd want to be at night. As they drove past the old plant, something moved in the shadows. Something tall. Something with wings. Something with glowing red eyes. What they saw that night would change Point Pleasant forever. And it was only the beginning. Roger slowed the car. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Standing in the shadows was a creature. It was tall, at least 6 feet, maybe 7. It was gray or brown, with a texture like a moth. It had massive wings folded against its back. But the most terrifying detail was its eyes. 2 large, round, glowing red eyes. They seemed to hypnotize the Scarberrys. Linda screamed. Roger hit the gas. They drove away as fast as the car would go. But the creature didn't just watch them leave. It followed. The creature took flight. Its wingspan was enormous, at least 10 feet across. It flew above their car at speeds up to 100 miles per hour. It followed them all the way into Point Pleasant. When they finally reached town, they drove straight to the sheriff's office. They were trembling. They were terrified. And they knew no one would believe them. The deputy didn't believe them. But he took a report anyway. The next day, the story made the local newspaper. The Point Pleasant Register ran a small article. Couples report seeing strange creature. Most people laughed. They thought it was a prank. They thought the kids had been drinking. But then, something unexpected happened. Other people came forward. A contractor named Newell Partridge said he'd seen the same creature a week earlier. It had been in his backyard. Its red eyes had glowed like bicycle reflectors. When he shined a flashlight on it, it took flight. Then a volunteer fireman named Ralph Thomas reported a sighting. He was driving near the TNT area when he saw it. Tall, gray, winged, red eyes. Then 2 more couples reported seeing it on the same night as the Scarberrys. Suddenly, it wasn't just one crazy story. It was multiple credible witnesses, all describing the same thing. And they all used the same words, red eyes. The newspaper needed a name for the creature. The editor chose Mothman. It was a reference to the Batman TV series that was popular at the time. Batman had a villain called Killer Moth. The name stuck, and the sightings multiplied. Over the next 13 months, more than 100 people would report seeing Mothman. They came from all walks of life. Teachers, factory workers, police officers, housewives. The descriptions were remarkably consistent. Height, 6 to 7 feet. Wings, 10-foot wingspan folded when standing. Eyes, large, round, red, glowing. Color, gray or brown, moth-like texture. Movement, silent flight, could hover. But here's what made it truly strange. Many witnesses reported a feeling of dread, a hypnotic effect from the red eyes, a sense that the creature was watching them, studying them. Some said it seemed sad. Others said it seemed angry, but all agreed on one thing: it was real. As the sightings continued, something else began to happen. UFOs were reported in the area, strange lights in the sky, unexplained sounds. And then, the men in black appeared. Witnesses reported being visited by mysterious men. They wore dark suits. They drove black cars. They asked questions about Mothman sightings. They warned people not to talk. One woman, Mary Heyer, the local journalist covering the story, said she was visited multiple times. The men asked what she knew. They asked who she had talked to. They told her to stop writing about it. She didn't stop. Another witness, Connie Carpenter, said a man in a black suit came to her house. He asked if she had really seen the creature. When she said yes, he smiled strangely and left. She never saw him again. The men in black became part of the Mothman legend. Were they government agents? Were they something else? No one knew. Theories about Mothman multiplied. Theory 1. It was a bird. Specifically, a sandhill crane. Sandhill cranes are large birds, up to 5 feet tall. They have reddish patches around their eyes. They can be aggressive when threatened. But sandhill cranes don't have 10-foot wingspans. They don't fly at 100 miles per hour. And they don't have glowing red eyes. Theory 2. It was an owl. A barred owl or great horned owl. Owls are nocturnal. They have large eyes that reflect light. They fly silently. But owls are small. They don't stand 6 feet tall. And they don't chase cars. Theory 3. It was a government experiment. The TNT area had been used for chemical weapons testing during World War II. Maybe something had mutated. Maybe something had escaped. But there was no evidence of any experiments continuing. In 1966. Theory 4. It was mass hysteria. A psychological phenomenon where fear spreads through a community. People see what they expect to see. Shadows become monsters. Birds become creatures. This theory gained traction among skeptics. They pointed out that most sightings occurred after the initial newspaper coverage. People were primed to see something. So they did. But mass hysteria doesn't explain the consistency of descriptions. Over 100 people independently describing the same creature. Same height. Same wingspan. Same red eyes. And it doesn't explain the physical evidence. Some witnesses found large footprints. Others found strange feathers. One farmer reported his dog was terrified of a specific area of his property. Mass hysteria is a convenient explanation, but it doesn't fit all the facts. Theory 5, it was something supernatural. A demon. A spirit. An omen. This theory would soon gain terrifying credibility. In December 1967, the Mothman sightings reached their peak. Multiple witnesses reported seeing the creature almost nightly. Some said it was more aggressive. Others said it seemed anxious, as if it were warning them of something. On December 11, 1967, a woman named Marcella Bennett reported a terrifying encounter. She was visiting friends near the TNT area. As she walked to her car, the creature appeared. It stood directly in front of her. Its red eyes locked onto hers. She was paralyzed with fear. She couldn't move. She couldn't scream. The creature stared at her for what felt like minutes. Then it spread its wings and flew away. Marcella said the feeling was overwhelming. Not just fear, but sadness. As if the creature was trying to communicate something. As if it were saying goodbye. 3 days later, the town would understand why. December 15th, 1967. Point Pleasant, West Virginia. 5 p.m. Rush hour. The Silver Bridge connected Point Pleasant, West Virginia to Gallipolis, Ohio. It was a suspension bridge over the Ohio River. It was old, built in 1928. It was busy. Hundreds of cars crossed it daily. On this particular evening, the bridge was packed with Christmas shoppers. Families heading home. Workers leaving their jobs. At exactly 5 p.m., something went wrong. A single eye-bar in the suspension chain failed. The entire bridge collapsed in seconds. Cars plunged into the freezing Ohio River. The water was 30 feet deep. The temperature was near freezing. 46 people died that day. 9 were never found. It was one of the worst bridge disasters in American history. And it was the day Mothman was last seen. The rescue operation was massive, but the outcome was tragic. The Ohio River was freezing. The current was strong. The water was murky. Rescue divers worked for days. They pulled bodies from the river. They pulled cars from the riverbed. But 9 people were never found. They were swept away by the current. Their bodies were never recovered. The investigation found that the bridge had failed due to a manufacturing defect. A tiny flaw in one eye-bar, present since 1928, had finally given way. Stress, corrosion, cracking. It was inevitable. But the timing was too perfect. For 13 months, a mysterious creature had been sighted in Point Pleasant. On the day of the worst disaster in the town's history, the creature vanished. Coincidence? Or was Mothman trying to warn them? After the bridge collapsed, the Mothman sighting stopped. Completely. Permanently. Not a single credible report came in after December 15th, 1967. The town was in mourning. 46 families had lost loved ones. The community was devastated. And the people of Point Pleasant began to connect the dots. Had Mothman been a harbinger of doom? A supernatural warning? An omen of death? Many witnesses said the creature had seemed anxious in the days before the collapse, as if it knew something terrible was coming, as if it were trying to warn them. But warnings of what? And to whom? The supernatural theory gained massive credibility. Mothman wasn't just a creature. It was a prophet of disaster. And it had tried to save them. The Mothman legend grew over the decades. In 1970, author John Keel published the Mothman Prophecies. He had investigated the case extensively. He interviewed dozens of witnesses. He documented the UFO sightings. He documented the Men in Black. His conclusion: Mothman was part of a larger supernatural phenomenon. It was connected to UFOs. It was connected to poltergeists. It was connected to the bridge collapse. He believed Mothman was an interdimensional being, a creature from another reality that had slipped into ours. And it had tried to warn Point Pleasant of the coming disaster. In 2002, the book was made into a movie starring Richard Gere. The movie was a hit. It brought the Mothman legend to a global audience. But it also sensationalized the story. It turned real tragedy into Hollywood entertainment. The people of Point Pleasant had mixed feelings. Archive note: The Mothman sightings occurred between November 15, 1966 and December 15, 1967. Over 100 credible witnesses reported seeing the creature. Descriptions were remarkably consistent. The Silver Bridge collapse killed 46 people. 9 bodies were never recovered. The cause was a manufacturing defect present since 1928. After the collapse, Mothman was never seen again. Theories range from misidentified birds to mass hysteria to supernatural phenomena. No definitive explanation has ever been proven. Today, Point Pleasant embraces the Mothman legend. There is a Mothman museum. There is an annual Mothman festival. There is a 12-foot stainless steel statue of Mothman in the town square. The creature that once terrified the town is now its mascot. But the question remains, what was Mothman? And why did it disappear after the bridge collapsed? The Mothman case forces us to confront questions about the nature of reality. Was it a bird misidentified by frightened people? Possible, but unlikely given the consistency of descriptions. Was it mass hysteria? Possible, but it doesn't explain the physical evidence or the men in black. Was it a government experiment or cover-up? Possible, but there's no evidence to support it. Was it a supernatural entity? A prophet of doom? An interdimensional being? This is the theory that fits the facts best. But it's also the theory that science cannot accept. Because if Mothman was supernatural, then our understanding of reality is incomplete. If creatures can slip between dimensions, then anything is possible. If omens and prophecies are real, then the universe is far stranger than we imagine. The people of Point Pleasant experienced something they couldn't explain, and they paid the price for not understanding it. Mothman remains one of the most compelling mysteries of the 20th century. Over 100 witnesses, 13 months of sightings, a catastrophic disaster, and then silence. Was it a warning? Was it a coincidence? Was it something we don't have the language to describe? The people who saw Mothman never forgot it. Many of them are still alive today. They still tell their stories. They still insist it was real. And every year, thousands of people visit Point Pleasant to see the statue, to visit the museum, to walk the grounds where the creature was seen. They come looking for answers. They come looking for meaning. But mostly they come because they want to believe that sometimes the universe tries to warn us, that sometimes we just don't listen. If this story gave you chills, subscribe to Strange Archives. Every week, we open another forgotten page of history. See you in the next episode.